This week on the bonus round, the panel discusses the new generation console war. I'm joined by host of the Pointless podcast, Kevin Pereira, Abby Heppy from Respawn Entertainment, and producer of Game Theory, Matthew Patrick. All right, we are back here in the bonus round on GameTrailers. Jeff Keighley here with Kevin, Abby, and Matt to talk about all things video games. And this week we are getting into one of the internet's favorite topics, which is the battle between Xbox, PlayStation, and our good friends at Nintendo too, I guess, the console war. And we are past the holiday season.
Conciliatory.
Oh, and Nintendo.
They have a thing
there as
too,
well.
They're fine.
Hey,
That's
they
okay.
are. I think the thing is, right now, there's such a battle going on between Microsoft and Sony. We saw that, this holiday season with Xbox being reduced in price, back up in price now, which I was surprised by. But, Xbox had a pretty strong holiday season in terms of sales of that, but Sony then announced at CES it was like over 18 million PlayStation 4s sold through to consumers, which is great. And Nintendo had a lot of great games last year and a lot of great content. But it seems like, as we lead into 2015, it'll be interesting to see where the conversation goes. Let's start maybe with Xbox and talk about where the year that they had in 2015, because they really, swung, from sort of a point of almost despair, I think, about sort of where the system was in January.
They stood triumphantly atop a mountain with a wizard staff and planted it and said, "We know exactly what you need and want," and and then they tumbled slowly down that hill, and at the bottom they started climbing back, and they're like, "Games, right? Games. We're gonna focus on that." And we're not going to make any friends having this discussion, right? Like there's nothing to gain from this.
No, but I think Xbox would admit that there was, a lot of challenges that they faced over that.
Clearly, they can't say they were right. They were about faced on a lot of stuff. Yeah. It's unfortunate because I think a lot of their plans were actually kind of forward thinking.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the digital rental stuff and like when they came out, TV. The battle isn't for the gamer. Games are that's the Trojan horse, I think. And right now it's powering the console sales, obviously, but you can see as more media apps come in, as Sony starts saying, "Hey guys, forget your cable provider, get your TV through us."
Yep.
It's just slightly delayed announcement, but it's the exact same path. So that's the real war for the living room. It has very little to do with the gamers. They just know the gamers buy the hardware earliest.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is there's a difference here between the console wars in general and the gamer console wars. Because if you're saying the gamer console wars, as a gamer, what do I have to play on PS4? What do I have to play on Xbox One? Specifically, what do I have exclusive on each of those systems right now to play? Not much. Those systems just don't have a lot. Whereas, what can I play on my Wii U? It was a strong year for Nintendo. So if you're talking about the gamer console wars, I'd say, hats off to you, Nintendo. But if you're talking about the console box, the media experience in your living room, then that's a different story. And then you're bringing up those other guys.
A lot of the games that you're seeing on Xbox and PS4 are also on PC. That's the thing. It's like
Oh,
Nintendo
absolutely.
stuff is fully exclusive to Nintendo, whereas, sure, there's Call of Duty, there's Assassin's Creed, but you can get those on Steam if you have those. And even this
more
year.
bugs.
Exactly.
You like glitching through walls? Get that high-end gaming PC, guys.
That's another
subject.
conversation about.
Abby, you pick a favorite.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I'm trying to bust her on every segment.
Trying to get us more views again, Katie. I like
no, but I mean, because I do hear.
What does
obviously,
Respawn
I hear
Entertainment
about
endorse officially? What is their favorite console?
Well, we obviously our first game, Titanfall, was console exclusive for Xbox One, but it was a great relationship for us, and it let us focus on that title and make what I think is a really great game. We've always said that doesn't dictate exclusivity for the rest of the games that we make in the future. And for us, I mean, the more game consoles sell, whether it's Sony or whether it's Microsoft, it doesn't matter. It's good for us and it's good for the industry as a whole. It keeps people making games, it keeps people in jobs, and keeps money within the gaming industry. So it's funny because you'd think that we wouldn't be so agnostic, but we are. We kind of sit back and laugh and are like, no, it's all really good for us. This is what we want.
Right.
We don't, there's no real, because I feel like if you have a console war, there has to be a loser, and I don't really think that either of those two are losers at this point. They've both sold. I know what you mean. People like to have winners and losers, but they're doing well. Games are selling. This is good for
the consoles
everyone.
are doing incredible. It's
Yes.
the thing that people don't talk about is both boxes. I think the stats.
They're not that different.
Sorry. They're not that different, and then 70-80% ahead of where they were last year. It's just lots of people pick these things up. The challenge, as you guys have pointed out, is like the software isn't really there.
That's
like I turn on.
Year also,
Right.
and I mean, how many console generations have you guys seen at this point? There's always that first year where everybody's trying to figure out the best way to optimize for those consoles to switch over from developing for the previous ones to the new ones. It's very challenging to be even within that launch window. It was a challenge for us. We were also working with Microsoft Cloud and new technology and trying to push the envelope forward there. And I think you always get that first year where it's like the people who were sort of lucky enough to be brought in, a lot of it's first party. And then as people start to figure it out, make more games for that. Because you also have a gamble when consoles come out. Like, am I going to do better selling for 360 depending on my release date?
Right.
And then you have to switch over if you'd started on 360 to Xbox One or to PS4. So there's a lot of those tough decisions that get made in this sort of interim period before the hardware is even out. Which makes it very challenging,
right? And
so now,
it's
out, and you know that they're both, that they're doing well, and people want to make games for that, and they've got more time, and and know how to work with those resources better. So you'll only get better games as the console cycle continues, as happens every time.
But that being said, and this kind of goes to what we were talking about last time, with technology advancing at such a rapid rate, will will game developers have the chance to work with that system long enough to get comfortable with it as we move on? Or are we going to see PlayStation 5 or whatever the next iteration of these things happening quicker, and we never get the game developers never get a chance to use those systems to their maximum benefit?
Well, I mean, our last console generation was how many years? That was ridiculous.
7 or 10.
True, but that was also
but I think
very different time.
And that's true, but at the same time, it takes an awful lot of money and time and development from these companies to make these consoles. So, yes, you're right. Technology progresses very quickly, but the hope is not that you then have to do this again in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be interesting.
Jeff, the question was, who is winning?
Yes.
It's Microsoft.
Done.
And by what
And then will you say we'll see you next week with more?
Exactly.
I know that I am fortunate. I have every console in my living room, and I don't take that for granted. I love them all. I play them all. I get disappointed when someone, I feel like, buys a console and they have to pledge allegiance to it and then justify that console by crapping on another one because, I made the right decision. I'm with the winners here. No one wants to side with the So I understand that mentality. I thankfully don't have to take part in that. I like them both. I will say, though, and it harkens back to the same thing, 70% of the time my Xbox One is on is because I'm viewing media.
Right,
Whether it's TV going through it or HBO Go or Amazon or whatever, I'm viewing media. And there's a sliver of that remaining percent where I'm disappointed that I don't have my 360 games. Still, I want to play some Battle Block. I want to play why? I understand it's a slightly different architecture, but Sony has done such an interesting thing with streaming the games through it. They acquired Gaiku and they're doing it with PlayStation. Why hasn't Microsoft just gone, look, we realize we have this pivot towards games. We have a giant catalog of games. You're not going to cannibalize 360 sales
and even
by offering an emulator.
Halo Master Chief Collection was a great example of what you can do when you take all the old Halo games, remash them. You play like Halo 4. The Master Chief Collection at 60 frames, 1080p is beautiful.
Yep.
And it's like if you take all those old games, and I'm sure there's rumors
you don't
do
even
that
have
with
to
gears
retexture them, though.
Yeah.
I mean, get 3 hardware hackers in a room to emulate your old system. You have enough overhead in that box to run a 360 as an emulator, and just let me play the games that you have there and instantly have a library that is cool. I regret
I think it's a
getting
great
rid of my
point because you look
360.
at, there's lots of talk this year about Valve doing its Steambox finally, bringing that out. And, the library of all that PC stuff. And there's so many games in my Steam queue. I mean, there's so many things I want to play. And when I turn on Xbox or PS4, a lot of there are weeks where it's like there's nothing new. It's like, what do I play? Maybe there's this one new indie game that came out. Do I try this on the console? But you're right. It's like a lot of the time on consoles is now spent consuming media.
Also, digital pricing. Could we please could somebody slap somebody in an ivory tower, because there is nothing more frustrating when I want to play a game that when I go on Amazon and I see I can get it delivered in under 24 hours with a physical disc and box and carbon emitting trucks and a dude that comes to my door to ring the doorbell for $40 cheaper than I can get it on either online store.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
That's a tangent. Microsoft's winning the consoles.
No.
I'm sorry.
But I would
They're
say
clearly winning.
As you think about that, and you look at how sophisticated Steam is with the Steam sales and everything on the PC side,
and bundles.
But just amazing stuff that's happening on the PC side, and the console space is still so antiquated in sort of how they sell games and, like you said, the sales and the pricing, and it's like I don't like it's amazing how quickly prices will drop too. Like I have a lot of friends now. They're like, this game came out. It's like, well, I'm going to wait 2 weeks because it's going to be down to $39 or something like that. And it's like it used to be you'd have to buy the used game at GameStop and you wait some time. Now it's like I think a lot of people wait a couple weeks because it's like, hey, Destiny's probably going to be on sale for half price in like a month.
I did it with Dragon Age. I was like, everybody's telling me it's great. Okay, I'll wait until. And thankfully, there was a digital sale on that. I saved like $30. I'm like,
but
okay,
$30 on a game that it came out like 11/18.
2 months ago or whatever. Yeah, I bought it like last week on sale. Okay.
And you're already $30 off.
Yeah,
so that's it's amazing to me how quickly the prices slide down too. But your point, I think, is correct that it's like,
that Microsoft
why is
is
it
winning the
unified?
battle. So if you just want to say that, we'll wrap. I'm sorry,
And what is the metric by which Microsoft is winning the battle?
Because I have both.
Because HBO Go and he can watch.
It has HBO Go. I have both.
At the end, the moral of the story is Netflix is winning the console war.
Yes,
Yes, it
right.
is.
There it is.
Yes,
Done.
it is.
But it's also it's a good question about like time spent with the different consoles because some people have both of them.
Right.
Which even for me, it's like the Xbox. I still hook up TV through the Xbox, so I tend to use that a little bit more for that. But we're going to talk about in the next segment. The whole TV space is going to be changing this year. I mean, there's so much going on beyond just gaming. But I think your point, Matt, about the upgrades of the consoles. It'll be interesting to see. We upgrade our phones sort of every year, every 2 years now. Cars every year, they change the models, change things out. I wonder with these consoles, are we going to be able to, is Microsoft going to be able to keep the Xbox One as the same hardware for 6-7 years? I don't think that's going to be possible.
There's a very good possibility that in the next 3 years' time, your gaming experience will be subsidized by Verizon.
Right.
And that's really true because you will get the $600 cell phone with the better graphics chip than you can get in your Xbox or your PlayStation. They're going to take $400 off, and you're going to just use your data plan to download some games, but it's unlimited if you buy it from their store. I mean,
and that'll become your cable box too, because it's like right now you're getting your Time Warner, your Verizon, your Fios box. I imagine in the next couple of years, this game console or an Apple TV or something like that is going to be what you're going to get from your cable or internet provider,
With all
much
the
like
slow,
your router.
clunky technology, it's a cable box.
Exactly.
They're horrible.
But wouldn't it be cool though if like if Apple or someone does that, where it's like you're having your Apple TV there and it hooks into your phone, and that's where I think the challenge will come for some of these consoles. And at the end of the day, then it will come down to the software, and that's where someone like Nintendo may be pretty well equipped because they've got unique original games that are only going to be on their system. And this year we do have a great battle though, because you've got Uncharted, you've got Halo 5, and you've got Zelda. So each of the consoles is going to have some amazing games this year that you're only going to be able to get on those machines.
So
then you're going to have
which
to
one
pick.
are you picking for 2015 then? If you have to look at the horizon, you know what the exclusives are.
Well, the thing is, it's like we don't really have a great picture of the fall for a lot of these. I mean, we know the big ones. I mean, we know there's Uncharted, we know there's Zelda, we know there's Halo. But what is there beyond that, right? Yeah. That's like, is Sony going to throw
There'll be
down
a Gears
with another
announcement,
one?
but I don't think that's
Exactly.
this year.
So it's like one. So I think those three games. I think any three of them are sort of they're almost as good as the other. Like those are going to be really big, spectacular games. You're not going to be disappointed no matter what system you have this year. The question is like, is someone going to have 4 other games on top of it that's going to be like really push you over? I mean, it's like. You guys have been doing this long enough that every year it's like it's different, right? It's like Xbox probably had a better lineup this year than Sony did. Next year maybe Sony might have a little bit better, or whatever Nintendo had. And Nintendo probably had the best lineup out of all 3 of them this past year.
Between Smash,
Mario Kart.
Smash and Mario Kart, those are the 2 games that we're playing. Like I bought 6 extra Pro controllers because people wanted to come over and play.
Oh my God.
Well,
Party
the
at
amount,
KP.
Must be nice to have so many friends.
the amount of I don't have friends to fill them yet, but I do.
This is on the expectation.
That's so sweet.
Look, that was my resolution
Mr.
for the new year.
Get
I
6
hope you
friends.
Took them out of the box.
There's
It's
a
like, I'm
post
ready.
on Craigslist. They're there. They're charged. I synced them all.
Are there
Just
like empty
waiting.
chairs next
on
to each
by.
one? Like you have a little semicircle?
Yep. Right now, I mean, most of them are filled with
precious.
real dolls, just waiting, excited.
Oh wow, that suddenly got so much
Yeah,
less
they
cute.
love the Mario Kart. They're so
Taking a
excited.
very
And we'll
dark
leave it at
turn.
that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that wow.
Very
that-
dark
yeah.
turn.
You'll look for the photo
Oh,
on
I'm sorry.
Kevin's
That's
Instagram.
that's your thumbnail, right?
Exactly.
That's done.
There's our YouTube video. All right, we will be back next week with more right here in the bonus round.